I always get excited about reviewing new products on this channel, but it's not very often I get truly excited about one. Well, that's definitely how I felt when I received this telescope from SV520. Now we're all after bang for your buck, and trust me folks, this one's loud. You may need to go and grab some earplugs for this one. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for dropping by. Well, as you can see, I have the brand spanking new SV520 from SV520. And when I say brand new, I really do mean brand new. Now, I received this telescope several weeks ago now, way before it was actually released in the country. So I've certainly been able to give it a good test run. And believe me, I was not disappointed with the results. Now, a quick mention before I get started, SV520 did send me this telescope free of charge, but that doesn't mean I'm obliged to say good things about it. I will always give you my honest opinion on anything that I review on this channel. So folks, what we've got here is the eagerly awaited SV520. And this is a refracting type telescope, as you can see. And I think the best thing to do is we'll start from the top and work us way down. Because you do get a full package here. You get everything that you're going to need to set the telescope out of the box and start enjoying the night sky. Now, I did say this telescope is bang for your buck, and it is a complete package. And this is going to set you back around about £239, about £240. And trust me, folks, it's just incredible what you actually get for your money with this package. So let's start with the telescope first. Now, this is a 90mm refracting type telescope. Now, that means the 90mm simply stands for the objective lens here at the front. And 90mm is up there, is starting to get up there with a nice size when it comes to refracting type telescopes. They do say that anything above 60mm is a great size for viewing the night sky. So with this having a 90mm aperture, that's a really decent size of refractor. In fact, if you compare that to say a 70mm refractor, a 90mm will gather 65% more light than a 70mm. So for a refractor, that's a great light gathering size. Now, when I get a telescope, one of the first things I normally do is not look through this end as you normally think you would. I look down this end as well, because it's a good sign of how the telescope's been built and the quality of the telescope, because there's certain things you want to be looking out for. And one of them is everything to be nicely blackened inside. Always a sign of quality and attention to detail. And I'm glad to say everything is lovely and dark inside this telescope. And they've also gone to the trouble of including baffles, so it is properly baffled all the way down the telescope. Now, this dark paint and baffling, what that does is dramatically cut down any stray light that may go into the telescope and scatter about inside the tube. And overall, what it does is give you better views in the eyepiece. It's going to cut down any lens flares or any artificial light that you may see in the eyepiece. I must point out also, before I forget, the lenses are fully multi-coated. Sure you can see, or I don't know if you can see, the green hue on the telescope there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but that's always important. And like I say, they are fully multi-coated, always a good sign. Now, moving on to the focuser on the telescope, this is what's called a rack and pinion type focuser, pretty standard on most refracting type telescopes. It's just a one-speed focuser, but that's fine. It does the job perfectly well. But there is a few little extras on this that, again, you only generally find on higher-end instruments. One of them is, I'm pleased to say, if I just take this out and spin this round, I don't know if you can see this, I'll do a close-up. It has got a compression fitting on the end, on the focuser there. Again, another a lovely little luxury touch. Now, compression focusers not only keep your eyepieces and your diagonals nice and central, but they also protect them for any scratches. Those little nug screws tend to scratch hardware, and compression rings just are a lot kinder. The other little feature that's nice, it does have a lock, a little locking screw on here. Now that's in case you do put heavy camera equipment or heavy eyepieces on the end. What can tend to happen, sometimes the eyepiece can sometimes fall out of focus with gravity. And it's just nice, that's there just in case you want it, a little locking screw. Finally, the focus also has a little gauger on there. Again, useful if you're going to do any kind of photography. You can get prime focus with that, a make and mark. It might be with a certain eyepiece or with a certain camera, and instead of having to find out what the focus point was, you've got it all there as an handy little gauge that you can just make a note of. Now, probably one of the most exciting things that I realized about this telescope is that it's all metal. The entire construction of this telescope is fully metal. That's the tube, the focuser, even the focuser tube is also metal of some kind. Now, I believe it's aluminium, and the entire telescope, as you can see, is finished in this lovely white powder coating with the SV520 decal there. But I really can't stress the rarity of, in fact, I don't know any other refractor in this price range that has a full metal construction, including the focuser. Like I say, only usually happens that on higher end or a lot more expensive telescopes. Now, the telescope also comes supplied with a little finder scope. Now, this is basically just a little finder scope, and a little telescope, and it has a little crosshair in. And what you do is you calibrate this with the main telescope, and then you first get the object, what you're looking for, say it's the moon, in this finder scope, and then it will be in the eyepiece of the telescope. Finder scopes are incredibly useful, and it's nice that SV520 have included it. Now, I know a lot of people don't like these little optical finders, but another nice little feature about this telescope is, if you look here, the actual fitting, or the shoe that the finder comes in, is actually molded into the telescope. So that means if you're not happy with this one that's supplied, you can easily swap it out to, say, maybe a red dot finder. Now, another aspect of this telescope that really excited me when I saw photographs of it was the mount that SV520 have provided it on. And it's so nice and so refreshing to see a refractor type telescope on a decent type of mount, because usually these type of telescopes have had a bad rap over the years, and usually it's not the telescope that lets the side down, it's the mount that is supplied with it. It's usually one of those cheap wobbly, sticky camera tripods, and they're simply no good. So it's so nice that, like I say, from every aspect of the telescope, with the blackening of the tube and a decent focus for such light, they've even gone to town and thought about what the telescope's mounted on. Now, this is what's called an alt-az mount, or an alt-azimuth mount, and it's just a fancy word for up, down, left and right. So that's all it means, and it works like a camera tripod, but is so much more superior than a standard camera tripod. Now, the telescope, the way the telescope's fitted, again, another thing that when I saw this, I knew instantly that the telescope was going to be of quality. And this is, little things like this excited me. The telescope is on a dovetail. Now, the dovetail fitting is just this bracket here, and SV520 have supplied quite a long dovetail. I don't know the exact length, I don't know, 11 inches, something like that. And that gives you a full scope, so you can balance the telescope if you do happen to put heavier instruments on the end, such as eyepieces and cameras, such like. And the way this telescope fits on one of these types of mounts is just simply these two bolts here, and you can see that just goes onto there, and that screws down and that's it. Now, the second little screw is just a little safety thing, and that's it. Now, this mount also comes with a few little luxury features, and one of them being is it does have slow motion controls, and I can't tell you how useful and the importance of having slow motion controls. And if you've never had them on your telescope before, you really don't know what you're missing. Now you have one here round at the front that you can see, and there's one at the side round here. And this one here round at the back, this will move the telescope left and right. This one here will move it up and down. But as you can see, it moves it in a very nice, slow and precise way. And this is going to be really useful because what you'll do, you'll line the telescope manually with your hand like that, and then you can fine tune it and get it just right in the eyepiece. And with a little bit of practice, what you can actually start doing is tracking the object by using both the controls simultaneously. And like I say, with a little bit of practice, you can actually keep the, say it's the moon, you'll be able to keep it in the field of view. There's such a useful thing to have on, and it's such a nice inclusion to see on this fine little mount that's supplied. Now, SV Bony really do think about the customer and making sure that they're totally happy with their products, and you can tell that with little attentions to details such as these slow motion controls. Now, these simply just push on and off with friction, and if you look, you can actually move this and move it to the other side. There is an actual fitting, and exactly the same on this one round here. You can take this off and simply move it round to the other side. These are just little rubber protection caps that are on there. You take those off and you can swap that round if need be. Just a nice option if you need it. Now, the telescope also has these little clutches as well, or brakes, if you like. You can call them brakes, and they just simply lock your up and down and your left and right. There's another one just here. If you tighten that one, that'll stop the telescope from moving left and right, and this one here will stop it from moving up and down. And that's just in case you maybe want to lock the telescope off on any given target. Now, also included in the package is a full-size adjustable tripod made of stainless steel, and it does the job perfectly well. Now, it will drop down to about just over 2 foot, so that's going to make it really easy to store this telescope. So that's the telescope, tripod and mount side of things. Now let's take a quick look at the accessories that you're going to get with this package. Now, I've already mentioned the telescope, the tripod, the mount, and the finder scope, but there is a few more accessories that do come with this package. And first off, you do get 2 eyepieces provided. Now, you get a 25mm eyepiece, which is going to give you round about 32 times magnification, and you also get a 10mm eyepiece. Now, that's going to give you round about 80 times magnification. Now, the 10mm is one of my all-time favorites. Is a Plossl design of eyepiece. Plossls have been around forever, but it's nice that they've included a Plossl type of eyepiece, especially with it being on the high power side of things. Now, the Kellner, the 25mm is what's called a Kellner eyepiece, and now these are not as good quality as a Plossl eyepiece, but the thing is, with it being 25mm, it's a low magnification. That means it's not going to be very demanding on the telescope, and trust me, this little Kellner gives some fantastic, crisp, lovely images. And one of them reasons, like I say, is because it's a low-powered eyepiece and not very demanding. You also get a 2 times Barlow lens. Now, this, in actual fact, it's nice that you have a Barlow lens included because it's like doubling your eyepieces that have been provided. Even though there's only 2 eyepieces provided, don't forget you can use the eyepiece on its own and with the Barlow. So that means you're getting 4 different types of magnification when you combine the 2 eyepieces with a Barlow lens. Now, the Barlow lens is simple. You just place the eyepiece into the Barlow lens, and then that goes into the focus. So you just use it exactly the same. And what that does is that will actually double the focal length of the telescope. telescope, doubling the focal length of a telescope will actually increase the magnification. So like you can say, you're getting like 4 eyepieces for the price of 2 is one way of looking at it. But of course you don't. You only get 2 eyepieces. But like I say, with the inclusion of the Barlow, it's like doubling them eyepieces. Also, you do get a diagonal. Now, this is what's called a star diagonal, and this is simply to make it more comfortable at the eyepiece. Instead of having to crick your neck looking down the eyepiece, it's at a nice 90-degree angle, and that's all diagonals are for, really. But it's a nice inclusion, and it's a nice quality one as well. It works fine. Another little extra is a moon filter. Nice to see a moon filter. It's always good that they do include a moon filter, even though the moon is not going to damage your eyes in any way. Observing the moon, it may dazzle your eyes, and that's the main point of a moon filter. And to be honest with you, I've always said it, you've not seen the moon properly unless you've used a filter. So it's a nice inclusion of the filter. We also get 2 mobile phone adapters. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of what these are now. They just put your mobile phone in there, and then you can simply attach an eyepiece, and it makes taking photographs with your telescope incredibly easy indeed. Now, they do another, or should I say, they've included another little mobile phone adapter in the package, and that attaches to the mount. And that's in case you want to use something like a star chart app or something like that. It's just nice. It's there if you want it. And then finally, they've included a little remote control. That's always handy if you are going to be doing any kind of photography with your smartphone, and you really can take some beautiful photographs actually with just your smartphone, and that just makes things handy because it's hands off into it, and it's remote control. Just a nice little addition in the package. So folks, as you can see, there's everything that you're going to need straight out of the box with this telescope. And now this is classed as an entry-level telescope or a beginner telescope, and I tend to agree with that to a certain extent. Don't be have that misconception that beginner or entry level means poor quality or cheap or in any shape or form, because trust me, this is a proper telescope. It's a lovely telescope, and it took me by surprise in many forms, from the way that the internals have been done, the mount that's been provided, and more importantly, how it performs under the stars. And all I can say, it's got the wow factor. It really has. You see, the problem is, or one of the main things that happens with refracting type telescopes, is you do get something called chromatic aberration. Now, this is just simply means false color, and some telescopes handle it better than others. And I can say that this telescope, for the money, and to say that this is an entry-level telescope, it's probably the best optics I've ever looked through a refractor on this price range. Now, I can honestly say I struggle to see any chromatic aberration at all. Of course, there was a little bit there, a tiny bit. To the trained eye, they're going to say, oh yeah, I can see a bit. But to anybody that just wants to enjoy their telescope, it's not going to be distracting at all. You're not going to see any false color. The only thing that this is going to produce is beautiful, sharp, crisp images. It really did take me by surprise. So who do I think this telescope is aimed at? What kind of audience? Well, to be honest with you folks, I think this is for the beginner and the seasoned astronomer alike. If you've been into this hobby for a long time and looked through many telescopes, you're going to be amazed at what a 240-pound refracting telescope can actually show you. In fact, I've only heard good things said about this telescope. Not one person has said bad things about the optics in this telescope. They are phenomenal for the price. And of course, if this is going to be your first telescope, it's, to me, the perfect telescope for a beginner. It's simple to use. You've got a simple, great, sturdy Altaz mount. right down to the slow motions that's really going to help you out. And not only that, it's a refractor telescope, so that means there's no complicated collimation to worry about. This is simply get it out of the box, set it up, and start enjoying the night sky. And that's certainly what you're going to do with this telescope, because SV520 really have thought about the attention to detail. Listen to what the consumer wants, especially in our field. We don't want sticky wobbly mounts. We don't want cheap optics with bad chromatic aberration. You know, let's bring back a good name to the good old humble refractor. And I think SV520 have certainly hit the nail on the head with this beauty. So nice to see a refractor in the entry-level price range to perform as well as this telescope does. Now, of course, you can. This is small enough and light enough to actually travel. It's not that heavy, as you can see. I'm reaching over and I'm picking it with one hand. It all compacts down lovely to a lovely side. It's going to fit into any boot of any car, so you will be able to travel with this thing. It's just a perfect entry level telescope. Now, you may have guessed I like this telescope and I couldn't recommend it more. Now, you are going to see a lot more of this telescope on my channel. In fact, it's my go-to telescope now. It's the one I just use all the time. I love it that much. Finally, I just want to say a big thank you to SV520 for sending me this telescope. And if you would like one yourself, please follow the link in the description. Now, I do get a small percentage of sales, like a tiny bit of commission for any sales that are done in the link below. So not only you'll be doing me a favor, but you'll definitely be doing yourselves a massive favor and buying yourself a fine telescope. Well, that's about it for another one, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched this far, thanks again to SV520. Take good care of yourselves, and I will see you all very soon. Bye for now.